Okay, so you've read all the reviews, you've watched all of the videos, and you've researched just about every single lens on the market, and you still don't know which ones to buy. So let me put it this way. If I lost either of these two lenses, I would immediately dip into my bank account and buy them again without so much as a second thought. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. When it comes to landscape photography, it's very easy to think that wider is always better. If you do a quick Google search for the best landscape lens, I think it's fairly accurate to say that the majority of the results you'll see are 20mm and wider. Now don't get me wrong, wide angle lenses are absolutely phenomenal for landscape photography if you know how to use them correctly. But there are other lenses that aren't quite as wide that can do just as much, if not more, of the heavy lifting when it comes to creating stunning landscape images. So in this video, we're going to look at two very specific lenses that do two very different jobs. But when you combine them together, you'll have almost every eventuality covered when it comes to creating stunning, memorable landscape photographs. So let's look at lens number one. Now, despite what I've just said, we are going to start off with a wide angle lens. And the focal range that this lens covers is 15mm all the way through to 35mm. And the great thing about this lens is, at the wide end you can capture the entire scene in a single image, and at the tighter end, around 35mm, you've got an everyday lens that takes fantastic photographs and can even be used for street photography and other types of photography as well. But what is it about an ultra wide lens that makes it the go-to choice for so many landscape photographers? Well, there are a number of reasons for that. So let's look at them one by one. Okay, so number one, at 15mm you have an extremely wide field of view, which, as we've already said, means you can capture an entire scene in a single image. So if you think about a range of mountains that you're trying to photograph, going wide allows you to fit everything into the frame while still retaining the relationship between the foreground, the mountains and the sky. So number two, another reason these lenses are so good is distortion. Now, we tend to think of distortion as a bad thing, but when it's used properly, it can become an incredibly powerful creative tool. And what happens with an ultra-wide lens is that objects placed near the top and the bottom of the frame begin to stretch and exaggerate slightly. And this is fantastic when you want mountains to look bigger and more imposing within the image. And the same applies to the foreground. Something that may only be a medium-sized rock can suddenly look like a huge boulder when you get down low and close to it. Number three, using a wide angle lens at 15mm forces you also to think carefully about your composition, because if you use it without purpose, everything in the image can become very small very quickly, and the person looking at your photograph can end up confused about what they're actually supposed to be looking at. Number four, one of the other strengths of a wide angle lens is that it creates an immense sense of depth within the image. You can exaggerate the distance between the foreground, the subject and the background, and this helps the viewer feel like they're standing inside the scene rather than simply looking at a two-dimensional photograph. And that is one of the things that, as photographers, we are constantly trying to achieve, that sense of the third dimension, and that is one of the real strengths of a wide angle lens. Number five, you'll notice that this lens is a zoom lens, and that's important because it gives you flexibility. Yes, a good prime lens might be slightly sharper, but it also locks you into one focal length, and when you're just starting out, the last thing you want to do is pigeonhole yourself creatively. With a zoom lens like this, you can go from an extremely wide 15mm shot all the way through to 35mm, which gives you far more freedom to experiment, refine your compositions, and work out what kind of images that you actually enjoy taking. The second lens that I absolutely could not live without, probably even more so than the 15-35, is my 20-40-70 lens. Now, we're going to look specifically at landscape photography, but before we do, it's worth noting that if I could only ever own one lens and was never allowed to buy another one again, this would be it. At 24mm, I can still shoot landscapes, and all the way at 70mm, I can now shoot portraits and everything in between. Now, yes, I might not be able to photograph wildlife properly, but don't get me wrong, there have still been times where I've captured some fantastic images using this lens. You just need to get a little bit closer. But this video is about landscape photography, so let's focus on that. Pardon the pun. Whilst it doesn't have the same distortion and exaggeration of a super wide angle lens, At 24mm, there are very few scenes that you can't capture in a single image. And if for some reason this is the only lens that you have with you that day, then creating panoramas and stitching multiple images together is incredibly easy. So let's have a look at some of the reasons why this is the hardest working lens in my camera bag. So number one, flexibility. Having a zoom range from 24 all the way through to 70 gives you an incredible amount of creative freedom when it comes to landscape photography. And at 70mm, you can begin to isolate parts of the scene rather than just photographing the whole landscape. You can capture textures, layers, details in mountains, and more abstract images that focus on smaller moments within the environment. And then at 24mm, you still get much of that immersive wide angle feel, but without the stronger distortion you would get from something like a 15mm lens. Number two, the 20-40-70 cuts down massively on the amount of gear you need to carry. If you're going on a long hike and weight is an issue, this is probably the first lens that I'd reach for. Number three, 50mm sits right in the middle of this focal range, and it's a phenomenal focal length because it creates very natural looking images that closely resemble the way that we see the world with our own eyes. That said, as you know, I'm not a fan of taking photographs at eye level, so even if you are shooting at 50mm, get down low, get up high, and change your perspective. Number four, compression. Now that we're moving into a more zoomed in focal range at 70mm, the background begins to compress towards the foreground. And what that does is makes mountains, trees and distant subjects appear larger and more imposing within the frame than they would at 15mm or 24mm. Not only that, it also becomes much easier to create beautiful background blur and separation within the image, especially if you understand how to use aperture, focal length and the distance to your advantage. So there you have it. There's a few reasons why this is my most favourite lens of all time. And again, as I've already said, this is the one I would replace without thinking about it every single day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Now, it goes without saying that these lenses help produce amazing photographs, but one of the real benefits in using them is not just in the images that they create, but in the lessons that they teach us as photographers. So let's have a look at a few of the things that we can learn from each of these lenses. So number one, with the 15-35, foreground becomes essential. Wide angle lenses teach you very quickly that empty foregrounds or weak foregrounds can absolutely kill an image. So it teaches you to actively look for rocks, textures, flowers, puddles, leading lines and things like that. And again, because of the distortion, it helps to make them more dominant within the image, which then encourages the viewer's eye to travel through the frame towards the subject. Number two, the height at which you take your shot with an ultra-wide lens truly matters. It can take just a few inches up, down, left or right to completely change the relationship between the foreground, the background and your subject. A wide angle lens forces you to become far more intentional with your perspective. Number three, simplicity becomes critical. A wide angle lens can capture a huge amount of detail, information, foreground, middle ground, background, sky, and your job as the photographer is to simplify that. Build compositions that are easy to understand and easy to look at. And don't let the viewer's eye start darting around the image, confused by what your intention actually was. Number four, movement and perspective become incredibly important. Yes, you can zoom from 15mm all the way through to 35mm, but the more you zoom in, the more you start to lose that beautiful exaggeration and distortion that the 15mm end creates. So don't be lazy, get up, walk around, get low and get close to your foreground. And finally, number five, light becomes even more important. Wide angle photography can look lifeless, flat and boring in bad light. So these lenses teach you to pay attention to where the light is coming from, what it's illuminating, what it's hiding, and what it's drawing your attention towards. Because in landscape photography, light is every bit as important as the subject itself. And when it comes to teaching us how to become better photographers, the 20-40-70 is no slouch either. So let's look at another 5 lessons that lens teaches us. Number one, isolation becomes important. The 20-40-70 teaches you to stop photographing everything and start isolating parts of the landscape. Instead of enjoying the entire scene, you start looking for smaller moments within it. Because that extra reach helps you pick out these things and make them more dominant within the frame. Number two, simplify, simplify, and then simplify. Especially when you're near the 70mm end, you quickly learn that good composition is more about removing elements from a scene rather than trying to cram everything in. It's about being more intentional and building relationships between the objects within your frame. Number 3, compression and layering. As I already mentioned, when you start moving towards the 70mm ends of the lens, the image becomes compressed from front to back, and that allows you to stack layers within your photographs. From mountains in the background to trees in front of them, maybe some mist, and then some great light, you can create immense depth in a completely different way from a wide angle lens. Number 4, creating separation between your subject using a creative aperture. Aperture is not just a function of allowing more light into your photograph. Softening your foreground and background is a fantastic way of adding depth very easily to an image. And if you've followed my channel for any length of time, you'll know that this is how I shoot most of the time. And finally, number 5, the 20-40-70 teaches you to see like a photographer. With wide angle photography, you may be focused on a huge scene or an imposing foreground object, but the 20-40-70 teaches you to slow down and notice more subtle things like textures on trees, ripples on water, light falling across your subject. Textures, shapes and details start to become the subject matter that you focus on. So not only are both of these lenses essential for me, they've also played a pivotal role in developing me as a photographer, and they will do the same for you. But if you can only buy one, which one should it be? Honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with either of them, but if you're just starting out, the 20-40-70 probably makes the most compelling case. So there you have it. Those are the 2 pieces of gear that I personally couldn't live without when it comes to landscape photography. Now, I genuinely love to hear in the comments whether you agree or disagree. And if you do disagree, what are your 2 go-to lenses? I'd love to know. Also, if you're currently in the market for a new lens and you've got any questions at all, drop me a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you and help. But really, the main takeaway from this video is that if you're serious about getting into landscape photography, either of these lenses is going to stand you in incredibly good stead. And if you eventually decide that you want to specialise a little bit more, then perhaps going ultra wide might be exactly the thing for you. And if it is, I'd watch this video next because it goes much more in depth on how to get the absolute most out of your ultra wide lens. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, I will see you in the next one.